Welcome to the tutorial on how to make a tile for the Day of Service project. Each of you should have a piece of clay at this point. It probably doesn't look so great, but the first stage in order to be able to make this tile is you have to do something called wedging. Wedging will get out any air bubbles inside of the clay that we don't want in there. So the best way to do the wedging is kind of like making a snowball. So by adding pressure to the outside portions of the clay, you're going to turn this into a clay ball. You don't want to have any of these cracks or ridges in the clay when you're finished, otherwise there's still a chance that there might be air bubbles inside. So I will go ahead and wedge my clay right now. You can also use the surface of your table, and by tapping the clay against that surface, you're kind of doing the same thing, using that pressure to force out any air bubbles that might be in the clay. Remember to rotate the clay and apply that pressure on all sides and surfaces. And if you look at my clay right now, you'll see that I've gotten rid of any of those cracks or ridges, and I'm ready to begin the tile building process. In order to do that, I have to create something called a slab. A slab is a flat piece of clay, kind of like a piece of paper, but a little thicker. So what I'm going to do is, in my hand, I'm going to flatten down this clay to make it into a patty shape. So I'll just put it flat in my hand, and then I'll slap down, flipping over, using both sides. And you'll see that I have this clay patty at this point that's kind of like a hamburger patty. I'll put it on my surface and give it a few taps on each side and then flip it over. So I might have 3 or 4 taps there, flip it over. And what will happen at this point is the clay is going to start to spread out and become thinner. And I'm going to do this process until my clay is stretched out enough to fit my tile template. So mine is still a little bit small. I'll stretch it out a bit more. And you don't want to hit too hard at this point, or you run the risk of your clay sticking to the table. Don't want that to happen. Alright, and I have my surface for my clay tile. At this point, you're going to be using your pencil to do a little bit of cutting and designing. So I'll take my pencil right here, and going right along the edge of my template, I'm going to press down so it goes all the way through the clay, and I will just cut along that edge, and I'll repeat that process on all 4 sides of my template. Now don't worry if a little bit of clay gets onto your pencil. You're going to be able to take that off very easily with your fingers at the end. Alright? And then you will remove any excess clay that you have around the edges. You're going to be left with your tile. Now we're still not finished with the tile here. We need to smooth out all of the edges. If I pick up this tile and I kind of zoom in a little bit here, each of these edges is a little bit sharp. Now the clay's soft, so it won't cut you right now, but after this clay goes through the kiln and becomes hard, we don't want those edges to be so sharp. So you're going to run your finger along each of those edges really lightly, just to smooth them down, and kind of peel away any excess clay that you might have. And you're going to do this on both sides. So you'll flip over your tile, do the same thing on the back side of this, so that all of your edges will be smoothed out. And now we're ready for our designing. The first thing that you're going to do is on the back of your tile, you're going to use your pencil, and very lightly you are going to carve in your homeroom. So I'm just going to go ahead and carve in 6A. Each of you will, of course, will carve in your homeroom. And then on the front, I am going to design in my initials. So you're going to take your name, the first letter of each part of your name, and you are going to design those into the front. You can do this however you please, but you want to make it legible so people know that it's you. So I'm going to make my design pretty simple here. I'm going to go ahead and just use some block letters to carve in my initials. All right, and just for a little design, I'll kind of put these lines underneath. And then with my pencil, I'll take out any of these excess pieces of clay that are kind of sitting on top. And there's my finished tile. Again, any of these excess pieces I can go back in with my pencil to take out, just to make it the craftsmanship a little better. And that's how you make the tile for the service project.